this guy down here.
You know, I think I'll go ahead and get started. There's a number of things I want to get through tonight. For those of you who would like to have a copy of the class schedule, because either you've lost yours or maybe never had one to begin with, there are some extra copies of it up here on this end of the table. I want to mention a little, we've got a couple of folks here for the first time, local people who read about the classes in the newspaper. And one of them, I'm sorry, Hank, I have an affinity for this lady here. Marge Younghans here is the widow of the voice of Southwest Washington. Her husband, Don Younghans, when I was a snot-nosed kid in the mid-50s, was the voice of South. There was one radio station in town here called KELA. It's still called KELA, but they've put in a kind of a western station called KMMT. And her husband just had a golden voice, and everybody around here called him the voice of Southwest Washington, Don Younghans. Nice to have you here, Marge.
Thank you.
And over here, and I haven't checked into his family background, but...
Oh, it's all bad.
Okay. Well, I don't look into mine very far, because, yeah.
Oh,
What?
no, my father used to belong to the Moves.
Well, that's a good
Yeah,
sign.
yeah.
They let you in the building under those pretenses,
Yeah,
probably.
nice.
Okay. Anyway, Hank Claycamp, we're glad you're here,
Thank
Hank.
you. Yeah.
Okay. I want to fill you in a little about last week I stood here like this, and after I left here, I went home and started doing the normal things that I usually do when I get home, which takes me till about 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, I suppose it was about 10 o'clock, and for those of you who don't know, I had some pretty significant congenital heart problems, including a bad aortic valve and an irregular heart, and I have atrial fibrillations all of my life. So whenever I walked in, that didn't keep me from joining the Marine Corps, playing football, running cross country, fighting fires, or climbing mountains, because I didn't know till I was age 57. Praise the Lord. But thanks to modern medicine and a forgiving Lord, I'm still here, and I'm going to be 73 next birthday. But anyway, I've had numerous ambulance rides. Normally, I don't get more than 4 consecutive in 4 days. Well, I had one following this class last week. My blood pressure, when I'm excited, is like 111 over 58. I mean, you got to really work on me to get it up there. For years, my pulse rate was 28. I would walk into a doctor's office and they would ask me how I got there. And I drove. Where'd you drive from? I'm at Clackamas, Oregon, checking into an emergency room. They want to know where I drove from. Napa Vine. Napa Vine, where the hell's that? Well, it's up around Chehalis, Centralia, Washington. You should be in a wheelchair. You shouldn't be allowed on the freeway. Well, for a long time, they'd ask me, do you fall a lot? See, people at 28 are supposed to be falling. See, so for quite a while, I'd say no. And then I thought, well, I might as well have some fun with this. So when they say, do you fall a lot? I'd say, oh, yeah. And they'd say, how often? I said, oh, sometimes 8 or 10 times in a day. Whew. When's the last time you fell? I said, age 4. So I got to the point where I had quite a bit of fun with it. Because frankly, I've never had any pain, and I've never been short of breath. All the questions they ever asked me were always no, no, no. And then the next question was, well, why are you here? Some of you are asking that about why I'm here, right? Well, it's worked out that way. But anyway, a couple years ago, Al Linder, who was head of the American Cribbage Congress, decided that I was significant enough to receive the President's Award, which is an award given to one person in the ACC annually each year. And that was at the Portland Grand National, Portland, Oregon. And I thought it was a secret. And so I didn't tell nobody. I mean, I got an email telling me, but that was it. I got in there and it's in all the programs. Here all these people are sitting there, and here it is in the program. So I thought, well, while I'm playing in the main tournament, 22 games today, I'm going to ask these people what it is that I should do when I receive this award. And so I started out, game one. I said, well, you've seen it in the program already. Now, what's the best thing I can do when I receive this award? And I did that all during the day. And there were three things I discovered I could do. One was to cry. They say that, haven't you noticed in the Academy Awards? Even men sometimes cry. So that's the best thing you can do. When he hands it to you, just cry. And, wow, cry. Spent 3 years in the Marine Corps, 6 years football, climbed mountains, fought fire, and I'm supposed to cry? That's hard to do. That was going through my mind. Then another group said, just become speechless. They said, just open your mouth and your lips flutter, but nothing comes out. People have been hoping for a lifetime for me to do that. So I kind of filed that one in the back of my mind. And then finally somebody said, collapse. Just accept it and fall over backwards. Collapse. I thought, now, by God, that's something I've had some experience doing. I should be able to do that really well. So anyway, I got down there to get my award, and that's kind of what I went through, as I discussed with the folks in the tournament today what I should do when I accept this award. And the most frequent thing was that I should cry. Well, I want to tell you something about this. What is it? It's a drying out that occurs with aging. Our bodily fluids quit dripping. And I said, I'm just going to talk about the ones from the neck up. But I said, right now, I put grease in my ears twice a day because they get so damn dry, they scale big scales out of there. I've got wet tears to put in my eyes because my eyes aren't producing any damn tears, and I'm supposed to stand up here and cry when I get this award. I've got a special drop I put in my nose because my nose is too dry. I got a butterfly patch on each side of my face. I've got 2 different kinds of cream I use on that because it's too damn dry. And most of you folks think that people quit French kissing at my age because there's a hormonal change. I got news for you. It's that terrible dry mouth syndrome. It's too damn abrasive. I mean, it can be harmful. It can cause lacerations. It's like 2 files going in the mouth. Not a good thing to do. So I ruled that out. And then the second thing they said, that I should be speechless. How many of you think I can do that? No way. But I said there's a number of you in this room. The third thing they said was that I should just fall over and collapse. They've seen it happen before. Folks just go limp when they receive such a nice award. And there are several of you in here who know that I'm good at that. And I looked around the room. I said, Chris McComas, do you remember looking at me on the floor in the motel in Prineville, Oregon? And you said, how is it? I said, it's really good, but I think I better walk to the nearest hospital. Well, in the meantime, he called 911. So, Jack Shoemade, you remember when we're playing this game of cribbage in Spokane, Washington? And you told a dirty story. And I mean, I just collapsed right over in the middle of the table. And you thought I was reacting to the punchline? I was having a stroke. And I ended up in the hospital in Spokane. How about the dump truck driver out here on the Skookumchuck River Bridge? I used to walk 4 miles a day. That would get my pulse rate up from 28 to 44. Oh, boy. I mean, I'm ready to roll at 44. So I'm walking along, I fall right out in the traffic, right in the pavement, dump truck going this way and a pickup going that way. And I look at it, and he hollered down, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, it'll probably get better though." And that was that. So anyway, nobody here is going to present me an award, so you don't have to experience a passing out ceremony.
Goodness.
Okay. But anyway, it's kind of an interesting little background. And so I want to cover this little paper here. Each of you got a copy of it. Hopefully, I think because I'm such a strong offensive pegger that I sometimes forget to mention there's a defensive way to play the hands as well. This gives you some common hands, and this gives you some common hands that you can play either way, depending. These are hands for the non-dealer. And if you're playing offense, what does playing offense mean?
Attack.
What does playing offense? Yeah, you're going to attack.
Get all the pegs you can.
You don't like where you are on the board, you need to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And so you're going to play offensive. With hands that look like these, you lead the larger card. 2, 3, 4, 8, 3, 4, 5, 8, 2, 3, 4, 9. 1, 2, 3, 9 is the poorest of these four, but you lead the larger card and keep the three small cards intact. Now the reason, now they don't have to look just like this. The 8, 3, 4 with any other card will work the same way. You could have a 3, 4, 8 queen. That's not much of a hand, is it? But if you lead the 8, and remember the dealer is going to be playing face card with a 5 38% of the time. When you lead the 8, very few people will dump the 5. They'll make the count 18. And then you play the 4 for 22. What happens then?
Good to go.
They play the 5 for 27. You put your 3 down for 30, a run of 3, and a go is 4. It works even better if the large card is a 9. It works even better if the large card is a 9 because your run on the end scores 31. See? Because you started one hole higher with a 9 rather than the 8. Now, again, these are hands that you can play either way. If you like where you are, you don't need pegs particularly, then split the sequence. On the 8, 2, 3, 4, lead the 3. But only do that because you're making that conscious decision to do that. You like your position on the board. You don't need to take a chance on the run on the end of the play. You're just fine. If you get a 15, it's okay, and if you don't, it's okay. The same with any of the rest of these. If you had a 1, 2, 3, 9, and you needed pegs, you'd lead the 9. You might be surprised. Your opponent could have a 3. They won't put the 3 on the 9 lead because they've been told somehow it's a dumb play. And it would be because you'd get 15 for 4. So you make the count 19, then you make 22, and you very often will pick up a run. But look at your cards along these lines. Remember that offensive pegging means I'm going to go for all I can get. And don't let anybody scare you off of it. It's your plan. It's your strategy. If you decided to do it, stick with it. If you're playing defense, then just play away as far as you can. Every card that comes down, you play away as far as you can. So keep that in mind, that we play offense, we play defense. Some folks call it pegging on, pegging off. Playing on, playing off. Same idea. Offensive, defensive. On, off. Okay. Any questions on that?
Russ, did you at one point, and I might have missed the class. Explain the positions on this board, all your little
That's
circles.
actually that's where we're going. We got two
Okay.
classes on that.
Okay,
It's pretty complex, so I don't teach it to start with.
okay.
We start with the discarding and so on, but that's where we're headed. We got two classes on board position.
At least I didn't miss it.
Yeah, no, you haven't missed it. And it's the key to successful cribbage playing, is knowing where you are on the board and where you should be. So, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit. See, some of you are wondering if I'm getting ready to collapse now. I seem to have lost my orientation. I knew I'd get there sooner or later. I didn't realize it was that far away. Okay, you all should have a lesson plan there. It has a 6 up in the corner followed by another number. We're going to start with 6-2. This pertains to end of game pegging. If you, when you're thinking of this, think that the dealer is 3 or 4 holes out. The dealer averages 3.8 pegs if he's a pretty good pegger, 4.0 if he's very good, 3.2 if he's typical. So 3 or 4 pegs out on the average hand, the dealer's going to peg out. So as the non-dealer, there's certain basic assumptions that you need to make. One is that unless it appears the only way you can win the game is to peg, you don't worry about keeping pegging cards. You keep enough points to get out. If you need 4 points and you're counting first, why worry about the pegging if you got 4? In fact, the safe thing to do is to stay away from the pegging. The dealer has the advantage in pegging, so why give them a chance to win? Play away and count your 4 and win the game. Now, in some situations, you might have just really lousy hand and only have 2 points. If you only have 2 points, then certainly you want to keep the ones that are likely to peg. But, so keep enough to count out, counting first. Don't get in your mind that you can out-peg the dealer.
Can't be done.
There are only 3 or 4 hands in cribbage that even give you a chance to do that. The dealer sees the first card that's played and generally plays the last one. Seeing your first card gives the dealer a terrific advantage. Terrific advantage. So the dealer already has the hammer on the pegging. You don't want to get into it unless it's to your benefit. Count, hold enough to get out, counting first.
Russ,
Yeah.
have you any statistics about the average point contribution that a starter contributes or adds to a hand?
I do, and the question is, do you have any statistics that show how many points the starter card adds to the possible hands? Yes, but we won't get there tonight.
Okay.
But I'll do something for you along those lines. Just as a general rule, in response to your question, the starter card adds more to the value of 2 cards in sequence than it does to a pair. Because the 2 cards in sequence can be hit on either end. Or you can hit one of the pair. See? So as a general rule, if you're just looking at how much the starter card will add to the value, it is more likely to increase the value of 2 cards in sequence than it is a pair. If that is of any use.
Yeah.
Okay. But an important thing, when you're counting first, and you need 6 points to get out. Don't hold 3